الحمد لله رب العالمين صلاة والسلام على الرسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. This is the introduction to the great work Al-Arba'in Nabawiyya, for the hadith of Imam Abi Zakaria, his nickname, his kunya, Yahya, his name, bin Sharif, rahimahullah. May Allah have mercy on him, from the town of Noah. We're beginning, inshaAllah, his explanation of the 40 hadith, which many of the scholars have mentioned it is from the most greatest works called 40 hadith, as many of the scholars of the past have collected 40 hadith, such as the 40 hadith of the great Tabi, Abdulaziz ibn Mubarak, who collected the 40 hadith. However, the significance to the 40 hadith of this Imam al-Nawawi, which he was an Imam, meaning in knowledge, high in knowledge. He was a muhaddith, scholar of hadith, and as they say, a faqih, one who explains and teaches how to understand the verdicts pertaining to the religion and how the evidence is tied to those particular subjects. And he was a al-mujahid, a person who strove with his self, his wealth, and with the pen, promoting the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, his 40 hadith is unique because, as we said, many of the scholars of the past, they had 40 hadith. They had 40 hadith. They collected 40 hadith in different areas of the religion. Someone may collect 40 hadith in the subject of zuhud, meaning abstaining from things that you don't need of the worldly life and only taking that which you need. Someone may collect 40 hadith in al-wara', which is cautiousness. That something may be okay for you to do, but because it may turn into being something that leads you to the fire because of excessiveness, or something that by chance, if you do it, it may end up being wrong rather than right, such as criticizing a person. It's okay to criticize, but if you're wrong in your criticism, it can turn out to be against you. So scholars will collect, for example, 40 hadith and the things that you should be cautious about. Scholars will collect hadith in the subject matter of Barakallahu Fiqh, Iman, the things that are tied to belief. Scholars would collect 40 hadith in the area of things that are tied to akhlaq, any character, disposition, and mannerisms. Adab, for example, mannerisms. But Imam al-Nawawi, as Allah has blessed him and showed his uniqueness in this work and others, he was able to combine 40 odd number of hadith in the various subjects, whether it be in Iman, belief, whether it be in adab, mannerisms, morals, whether it be in the halal and haram, what is permissible and what is impermissible, whether it be in the issues of restraint, anger, whether it be in the issues of the dhikr of Allah, such as saying Subhanallah and Alhamdulillah and La ilaha illallah, or saying Subhanallah wa bihamdi. The praise belongs to Allah, and He is alone, without being like His creation, or Subhanallah al-Azim, and Allah is the one to be praised. He's free from his creation, and he is the magnificent. Whether it be in those various areas, Imam An-Nawawi was able to do that. And so, thus, his 40 hadith became supreme in the land, and it has a great status above the other scholars that collected 40 hadith in their time. One may ask, why is it called 40 hadith, but he has 42 hadith? Why is it called 40 hadith, but yet he has 42 in his collection? The Arabs, from their custom and from the way that the Arabic language in itself is laid out, and the way that it is exemplifying eloquency, that is that they normally, if they said arba'un, for example, 40, then this would mean that they could be referring to going backwards, 39, 38, 37, like this. And if they said arba'un, it could mean they could be going 41, 42, 43, like this. So the Arabs normally, if they say 40, it doesn't mean exactly 40. Could mean a little bit less or a little bit more. Therefore, the 40 hadith contains 42 in this case. We also have Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, may Allah have mercy on him, where he did the Jam Ba'an, Jam al-Alum al-Hikam, Naam Jam al-Alum al-Hikam, where he took the 40 hadith of Imam An-Nawawi, which Imam Nawawi came before Ibn Rajab. He took that 40 hadith and then he added to the 42 that the Imam Nawawi collected. He added 8 more to make it 50 in total. And so this is the way that the Arabs used to speak. If they said a number, it could mean going the other way, less, or the other way, more, minus or plus. Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he was from the great ulama that never married. And he only did this not as a way to get close to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, because to abandon marriage in order to devote yourself to worship is extremism. It's extremism. Rather, Imam An-Nawawi was preoccupied, and this is something that's allowed if a person is preoccupied with seeking knowledge, or preoccupied with giving the knowledge, preoccupied with striving, fighting in the cause of Allah, then that person, he's able to very much so not be blamed for not choosing to marry. As long as it does not become a fitna, a hardship for him or her, then this is praiseworthy. But the intention is not to abandon marriage in order to have more time to worship, to be more devoted in worship. As this, we understand that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned this in the hadith, where as the hadith went, Nafra min ashabi Rasulullah sallam ja ila baytihi لأن يسألوا كيف كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في بيته. And some group of the companions, they went a handful of so to the house of the Prophet to ask about his characteristics in the house. And we know the famous hadith from that. After hearing about his character, they said, one mentioned from amongst those companions, I will pray all night and never sleep. I will pray the extra prayer, the supererogatory prayer, the Qiyam al-Layl or the Tahajjud, to stand in the night or to abandon sleep to pray, and I won't sleep at night. I'll just pray without sleeping. While Prophet ﷺ used to pray and used to give his body some rest and used to have some time for his wife in the night. This person wanted to pray all night, thinking that there would be something making him more devoted and make him closer to Allah. So he abandoned sleep. The others say, I will fast and never break my fast. As the Prophet used to break his fast and he used to fast. He used to start his fast and end his fast. This person sought to fast and leave off breaking the fast, thinking it will draw him closer and make him nearer and make him more righteous and beloved to Allah. So he abandoned the breaking the fast. And then the other, he said, and I will atazalu an nisa'i, I will stay away from women, I will not marry, seeking to make himself more pious, seeking to draw closer, seeking to become a person of high status with the law and righteousness. So when the Prophet ﷺ heard this, he came out to the masjid when it was time. He mounted the minbar and he praised Allah, hamid Allah, wa thana alayhi, thumma qala bala aqwaman, qala kadha wa kadha. And what is the problem, or what is wrong with the people that would say this and that? And he mentioned, I won't pray and sleep, I will only pray all night, I won't fast and break my fast, I will only fast, and I won't marry, I will stay away from women. And then the Prophet said, Man raghiba an sunnati falaysa minni, whoever abandons my way, he's not of me. And we mentioned that this he's not of me doesn't mean that he's a disbeliever or renegade, murtad an ad-din, that he leaves the religion, but rather the Prophet will not bear witness to his action. He will not intercede on his behalf, as this is an innovation to religion. And for Salam, he mentioned every innovation is astray, and every astray is in the fire. He also mentioned whoever invents something that's not from our religion, for raddun, it will be rejected. He also mentioned man amila amilan, whoever does the action is not from our religion. And in the end, he said for raddun, it will be rejected. So both the one who invents and the one who does the action, they're equally rejected, and thus the Prophet will not have anything to do with that person's action or that person the day of judgment. Laysa laka min al-amri shay. He will not have anything between that person and Allah to do with that person the day of judgment. That person will be left to himself, his own, without any intercession, any intervening of the Prophet ﷺ. Also, this shows that, again, a person, if he has the intention to leave off marriage, thinking that it will make him more beloved to Allah and more pleasing to Allah and make him more devoted, then this is extremism. But however, Imam An-Nawawi, on the other hand, did not purposely stay away from marriage. He did not say, I'm doing this to draw closer to Allah, but rather he was preoccupied with the knowledge, preoccupied with striving and fighting and defending the religion. Thus he didn't. But for those people, such as Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, and the likes of the female scholar, I believe her name was Bint Hani, Asbahani, I believe that was her name. She was one of the women scholars, and that she was so preoccupied with the knowledge, she herself never married. In these cases, the people didn't intend to leave off marriage or abandon women, or abandon for the women marrying men, but that this just became their case. And for the men, then we understand they had what Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said, وَتَنْكِحْ أَيْمَا مِنْكُمْ, and marry the right hand possessed from amongst you. So you could keep the right hand possessed, and it's not considered illegal intercourse. As long as they don't resist, it's not considered rape or illegal intercourse, but you just don't have the vows and the contract of marriage that goes along with the relations with that right hand possessed. So they had right hand possessed, so it wasn't like they stayed away from women like in the Catholicism and the Catholic Church, but rather they stayed away from the issue of marriage because they were preoccupied with the knowledge and the striving and fighting in the cause of Allah wa Ta'ala. So in the past I made the mistake, and I mentioned likewise the hadith of Uthman ibn Affan, rather the hadith of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, which is in the Bukhari and Muslim, where Uthman sought to stay away from marrying so that he can devote himself to worship, that he can have all of his time for worship. فَقَدْ رَدَّ عَلَيْهِ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, and the Prophet rejected that to him. So I had made a mistake previously in saying that he asked the Prophet allowed, but the Prophet disallowed. It should be corrected. The Prophet disallowed that for Uthman, although Uthman wanted to stay away from marrying. He wanted, and clearly stated that he wanted to do that in order to iqbal al-ibadah, to devote himself into worship, engross himself in worship, and thus the Prophet disallowed that, because to leave off something of the pleasures of this world in order to devote yourself to worship, then this is a ghulu. You take what you need of this life and you leave what you don't need is okay, but to abandon those things that Allah has given you to help you become closer to Him and help you in your worship, and it's part of your life, then this is extremism. And we found that which the Catholics fell into, because they thought that this would make them closer to Allah Ta'ala. So thus the Prophet disallowed Uthman ibn Affan the staying away from marriage in order to have more time and be more devoted in his worship. And this we will want to mention in that regard concerning that point. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, also he mentioned in the beginning of his Riyadh al-Salihin the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, "Man da'a ila khair falahu ujura, man da'a ila khair, man da'a ila khair falahu ajru mithlu man amila bihi ولا ينقص من أجوره شيئا ولا ينقص من أجوره شيئا." Okay, قال, that whoever calls someone to good, then he will get the reward similarly like the one who he called to good, without diminishing that person who did the good's reward. So you will get a reward if you invite, if you introduce, if you call people to good. And the Prophet he also mentioned, "Man da'a ila khair kafa alayhi." Whoever invites to some good, then he gets the reward, or he's like the one who does that reward. So this is one of the reasons why the Imam collected the 40 hadith. And we mentioned the hadith, Nadr Allah, this hadith, Nadr Allah Amrin, may Allah enlighten the person, or Nadr Allah, يعني ماذا وجه أمرين أو كما قال, Allah enlighten the face or illuminate the face of the one, as the Prophet says, Sami'a maqali, he hears my statements, and then he conveys that statement. This is an authentic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. This hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the wording, may Allah illuminate the face of the one who hears my statement, and he calls the people to that statement. As far as the different hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, it was related and said that he mentioned that that person will be yub'atha ma'a zumra min al-fuqaha wa ulama, or kama, that person will be raised in the day of judgment with a group of the scholars and the people of jurisprudence and fiqh. Then these hadith are not authentically reported on the Prophet ﷺ. Although many companions related these hadith, the chain of these hadith are very weak or either made up, so we cannot use them as they have been fabricated on the Prophet ﷺ in this regard. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, as we mentioned, is from the great scholars that from him came the likes of Imam Bazar, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, and others. And that great Imam al-Nawawi, he is from the scholars of Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah, those who clung to the Sunnah and the correct group. Although some people try to mention and say that he's from the people of innovation because he had some in his belief, some aqaid asha'ir, some belief or principles from the Ash'ari madhab or the Ash'ari belief, stemming back to Abi Hassan al-Ash'ari. But however, barakallahu fikum, if you read the likes of his Riyadh al-Salihin, the likes of his Sharh Sahih Muslim, explanation of Sahih Muslim, you will find that although he's to be considered one of the greatest or the greatest Shafi'i scholar as it relates to writings, he, Imam an-Nawawi, is considered to be from the greatest of the Shafi'i scholars as it relates to writing. He's also considered to be from those Shafi'i scholars that learned the Shafi'i madhab, that he did not stick to the way of Imam al-Shafi'i. Rather, he stuck to the strongest perspective of evidence. If the evidence was stronger than the position of Imam al-Shafi'i, then he would abandon the position of Imam al-Shafi'i for the evidence. And it's a known fact if you study the likes of his great work, the explanation of Sahih Muslim, Ibn Hajjaj, rahimahumullah. May Allah have mercy on both of them. So therefore, Imam an-Nawawi is considered, as Shaykh al-Muqbil mentioned, from Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. He is not to be considered from Ahlul Bid'ah, neither is Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, as they are both asked about in the same question. Imam an-Nawawi and Imam Hajar ibn Asqalani, are they to be considered from Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah? And most of the scholars, they say yes, they are, although they have some influence and effect of the people that were predominant in their time and their region, the Ash'aris, in the areas of Asma wa Sifat, in the areas of Allah's names and descriptions and actions. They're still from Ahlul Sunnah. Most of their teachings reflect that. Majority of their teachings reflect that. But they have some, as we will say, shubhat, some misconceptions, and this is from the effects of those errors that they were in and the different teachings that were prominent during their time. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, for example, with the issue of Ar-Rahman al-Arsh istawa, Allah Tabarak wa ta'ala mentioned the istawa in his book, the rising above his throne. We don't say how, we don't try to think about and come up with the scenario to explain, and we don't try to deny it as well. But Imam an-Nawawi, he did not deny it. Rather, he gave ta'wil, he gave explanation, he gave what will be understood as al-ta'rif in his explanation. He mentioned the istawa means istola, and this is different from denying. It's bad, but it's not denying. If you deny the attributes of Allah, then this definitely makes you from Ahlul Bid'ah. But to make ta'rif, to give a statement that it means this and it means that, like if a person was to say, al-yad bima'na quwwa, Allah saying he has a hand means power, really doesn't mean hand. Then this is an example of not denying it, but you alter the meaning. And this is a characteristic, it is a attribute of the people of innovation. But you're talking about an imam, a person that was a muhaddith, mujahid, and most of his teachings reflect, majority of his teachings reflect the belief of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah as it relates to the Aqidah, the creed, the issues of Iman. So therefore you cannot cast him into the category of being from amongst the innovators. And this is the position of most of the scholars, that Imam an-Nawawi is from Ahlul Sunnah, the people that clung to the Sunnah wal Jama'ah and the body of the Muslims, meaning the companions of the Messenger Sallam and the way of the Tabi'in, Tabat Tabi'in, and those scholars after them. And lastly, we want to mention, Barakallahu fikum, that this 40 hadith, Imam an-Nawawi wrote it. It's a magnificent work, and many of the scholars have explained it, and they encourage the people to not only study it on the hands of people of knowledge, but to memorize it because of the diversity that it covers. The hadith collection. The 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi has things and all of the matters that the Muslim would need to have in order to have a good sound deen. And so thus we advise that which the ulama have mentioned for those who are able to study it with people that have studied it, people to study it with people that have studied it. Then this is the first recommendation, to study it with people that have studied it, whether they be from the shuyukh, or min tulab al-ilm, from the scholars that have not reached shuyukh level. Study it with someone who has studied it with someone, and then to memorize it upon the hands of someone that has studied and memorized it, and to apply it, use it in your life, inshallah wa ta'ala. This is what I want to present for the introduction of the 40 hadith of Imam an-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, wa nasallallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala at-tawfiq. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.